Hello and welcome to the shop. I'm Ian and today I'm working on the pilot's door. So, my first video I was working on the boot cowl and the venturi that was all beaten and bashed. Well, this area right here is what was striking it. What would happen is you'd open the door, there's no door stay. So you'd open the door, the wind would catch it, it would swing around and hit the venturi. So, I've nearly finished reskinning this door, at least the lower section. I have a few more rivets to drive down in the corner here. In the back here, I need to sort out the opening mechanism, all in here. But what I'm going to be concentrating on doing today is right where the new skin meets the old skin, right up in here, I'm going to be making little filler pieces to copy this radius up here. Make it look a little bit more original, a little nicer. And so that the wind can't get in here and peel up these individual layers. So, I've got drills, I've got rivet guns, I've got clamps, and a couple little pieces of aluminum offcuts. That'll go in that area nicely. So, I'll set this all up. Let's bash some rivets. So first order of business in this is going to be shaping these little triangular offcuts to match the contour of the upper door, window frame rather, here. So this angle here is a little bit more than 90 degrees and these were cut at 90 degrees. Ignore the plane taking off in the background, we are at the airport after all. Oh, just layer up. Mark where the end of our contour is. And that'll be the forward one. And this aft one is just a little bit past 90 degrees. So we'll just do the same thing. I don't have great access in here, so I'm going to have to guesstimate. You won't see this part, so I don't mind a bit of fudge factor. And this will be the aft. So, this should be a simple matter of taking it over to the shear again and stomping off the edges. I love having the right tools for the job. All right. Oh, that'll fit nicely. Nice. So, I've already laid out some rivets. Right there. There's 3 there. There's 3 there. So we'll match drill through that to get exactly where those get laid up. These little finger clamps can be amazingly useful. Sweet! Yeah, it's just as easy as match drilling your holes. Okay, we've got our holes drilled. We've got our pieces temped in place with some clamps. Now what you do is you find an analog for the radius that you need and mark it out. If you could get your pen in there. Alright, this is going to be a bit of guesstimation here. It is just a filler trim piece after all. I'm not too concerned about the structural capacities of this one little tiny piece of 32 thou aluminum. And boom, there you have it. A little bit of time with the Dremel and some files to clean it up, and those should be looking spiffy. That's about all I dare doing with the Dremel. I always tend to overdo it, so I've learned to stop when I'm ahead. I'm going to add some more rivets to these there. Should have more. Let's continue that spacing up to the ends. I only have a few holes to do, so I'm just using a regular countersink this time. And there's an easier way of doing this. I have a tool for this. A rivet fan. Aircraft spruce, these are awesome for laying this sort of thing up. Now, they don't recommend drilling through it, but if I'm doing work that is so accurate that it can't stand a couple thou of play in the guide, I'm sending it to a structures shop. Look at that. And using a rivet as a guide, we countersink them. A little more. All right, there's one done. It's right in front of me. Oh, great, that's what I was afraid of. That hole spacing is not going to work. We are off of the piece. Looking at the pieces, the leading edge filler is the one that I don't have enough room to put another row of rivets in. But now looking at it, that should be okay because the wind isn't going to catch that face nearly as easily as it's going to catch the trailing edge. So having more rivets in the trailing edge is more important than the leading edge. I'm going to leave it. So at this point, we just clean up our radius here on each piece, trim off the excess, rivet them on. And there we have it. One piece, ready to be riveted on nearly. Peel off the protectant and smash some rivets flat. But we'll stick it in for the time being. Give it a home. That's not a -3 clamp. Now do it again. Oh look, another piece that needs to get filed out. Here's an important one for you. Whenever you're working with this sort of stuff, Always break your corners, it's called. When you cut a piece off, when it comes to a point, just take a file and round it off. You don't want to get your finger caught on that. It sucks. All right, there we have it. 2 filler pieces ready to get riveted in. Clamps. Hey, look, clamps in the rivet template. And throw your piece on the bench. Oh, beauty. I'll strengthen those corners up nicely. Make it look a little more original. Okay. I think I'm ready to pound some rivets. Ear protection. So we have a variety of rivets to drive here. We have countersunk 3s, and we have countersunk 4s, and we have regular head 5s. Universal head, we call it. So we have a small rivet gun with a countersunk flush snap for the little guys, and we have, for the big guys, a big rivet gun with a, oh, hang on, that's a 4. That's the 5. With a -5 snap in it. And when we do the countersunk 4s, we'll move the flush snap over to the big gun. But we have some pieces, we have some holes, let's make them meet. And to do the little work, we have a little bar. I'm going to need to remove some clamps. I can't get in there. And that'll do. One nice little filler piece. And guess what? We get to do it again. Find your piece, Ian. Where the heck did you put your piece? So what you see me doing before I actually start driving the rivet is I'm actually holding the bar to the side of the tail of the rivet and just giving it a little tap. That'll actually suck all the layers together so that you can rivet them all together and you don't have any bulged sections in the middle. That one's way too long. That is not of the same series that I have. That's right. Excellent. And almost got away on me there. Trigger control. Nice. So there's all our -3 flush riveting. Done! So these guys down the front, this was all cracked and busted on the backside. Half the reason I went as extensive as I did into this. So I've made that nice big doubler patch to support the lower door hinge area. These copper colored clamps denote -4 rivets. These black ones are -5s. So we've 3 different rivet sizes in this door. So I'll need to drill out these 4s, which are 1/8 diameter rivets, but you actually drill them with a number 30 drill bit. Drill those to size, countersink them, and butt them in place. Now, if you noticed, these rivets, back sides are in there. So you end up with some pretty funky bars to get into those sorts of tight spaces. We'll make it work. Oops. That one's a bit too deep. Oh well. If I had taken the time to set up the micro dial, this wouldn't be a problem. That's okay, it'll look handmade. This has a regulator on the back side. It's set for 3, which is what I find works best for -4 rivets. Bigger bar for a bigger rivet. And smash it flat. Okay, maybe not flat. There is the tail dimensions. Your length is supposed to be 1.5 times the diameter when you start, poking out the backside. And when you're done driving it all together, the finished tail diameter is supposed to be 1.5 times the diameter flat. Now these layers are sprung a bit, so I'll use some of these finger clamps to hold it all together until the rivet's doing that. Ideally, you want to set the rivet in as few strikes as possible. That's not always possible. Sometimes you just gotta keep it gently, otherwise it'll bounce off and make a mess of things. Better to have a slightly work-hardened rivet than destroyed skins around the rivet. Well, I've looked this over for a little bit, and I really don't see a good way about putting these rivets in. I don't want to put blind rivets in, because they have a core to them and they don't look as good. I think it's just going to have to come down to juggling and hoping. Hate doing this. Don't drop your mirror, that's how you break them. That is going slowly. Might be here for a while. That's not quite as flat as I'd like to see it, but at this point, I think I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. I don't want to go and damage anything. Well, start with the difficult one and work your way out of the hole. Nope, that one's not going to take. So at this point, we have to drill out the rivet that's failing to drive and try again. Like that. Alright, so I've gotten a different bar. A little bit lighter, but different shapes. Maybe I'll be able to get onto the tail of this one better. This hole is one of the original ones that was here before I got into it. And it's been oversized a number of times. The problem being, when the holes get so big, a rivet doesn't want to buck down square, and it'll dump. The tail will just kick to the side, and if you continue to drive it, it'll chew things up, and it won't hold anything if you miss your teeth. Zero strength to it. So, can't get this to buck up this time around. I might have to oversize it or cut my losses and put in the blind rivet. That is going down. Well, I wouldn't call it textbook, but she's going to hold. Only easy ones left now. Well, damn. That is unfortunately one of the possibilities. While I was riveting, the snap slipped, came off and hit beside the work, and tore it. Oh no, that's not actually torn, that's just... You know, I might be able to straighten that out. Okay, so we had a bit of a mishap on that last rivet. The bar jumped, or the gun jumped, and we hit beside the rivet, not on the rivet. Bent the skin, marred it a bit, and dented it. I've tried to beat the thing flat as best I can, but this material, like I mentioned previously, work hardens very quickly. I'm going to cut my losses. Proceed. So at this point, the last thing to do up here is to put the lower door hinge bracket on. Again, we'll start on the inside at the annoying ones and work our way out. These rivets are significantly larger than the other ones we've been working with because the whole door hinges on it. We're done up front. Not quite perfect, but something that I'll have to live with. I'm happy with it overall. One thing's for certain, this lower door ain't gonna blow up again. That was a mess when I got to it. Half the reason I'm putting all those doublers and reinforcements in. So, finish up back here. Handful of rivets, and we'll be ready to get on with the mechanism. Now, getting in down here is going to be interesting. Got this whole latch bracket to work around, so. That one went down much nicer. And there we have it. All nicely bucked. Ready to have a door handle put in the center. So there we go. 2 little filler patches made here and here. A lot of riveting down here. One little mishap. Not concerned about it. She's not going in a museum. She's going to get used, worked, flown. A little bit of riveting back here. Figure out the mechanism. Sliding window. She'll be good to go. Next piece is the co-pilot's door. Look at this. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, look at that. How many more rivets do you think we could fit in there, huh? That's awesome. So we'll probably do the same thing to this as we did to the pilot's door. Way too much. Thanks for watching. We'll see you around.